It all started on what seemed like an ordinary day. I was in the middle of our usual chaotic morning routine getting our two kids ready for school. It was a typical Thursday, and the house buzzed with activity as everyone scrambled to prepare for the day ahead. At around 7:30 a.m., amidst the frenzy of breakfast and packing lunches, the phone rang. The loud, jarring sound cut through the morning noise, grabbing my attention. The caller ID showed an unfamiliar number, which piqued my curiosity even more. "Hello?" I answered cautiously, holding the phone to my ear. To my surprise, it was Claire, my wife, on the other end of the line. It was unusual for her to call at this time since we had just spoken the night before. Claire worked for a small marketing firm, and her job often kept her busy. She was always on the move, working at a printing company in the center of our town, while I stayed home, managing the household and working remotely. Despite our different schedules, we made it work, and our cozy suburban life seemed perfect. "Hi, it's me," Claire said, sounding slightly distressed. "Hey, everything okay?" I asked, concerned. "Last night, when I went to the hotel lobby to get a newspaper, my purse was stolen. Can you cancel our credit cards immediately and request new ones?" she said hurriedly. "You're usually very cautious with your belongings. What happened?" I questioned, trying to make sense of the situation. I was a bit absent-minded and left my purse at the cashier's counter while I grabbed some reading material. "When I returned, it was gone," she explained. The hotel staff had already been informed, and Claire had taken the necessary steps to ensure her immediate needs were met. She sounded worried, but not panicked. I assured her that I would handle the credit cards and took a deep breath, trying to calm the unease that had settled in my stomach. As I went through the motions of canceling the cards and handling the morning routine, my mind kept drifting back to Claire's call. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. I tried to shake off the feeling, attributing it to the stress of the situation. Life went on as usual for a few weeks. The kids were busy with school, and I was engrossed in work. Claire continued her frequent business trips, and our lives fell back into their regular rhythm. However, the incident with the stolen purse lingered in the back of my mind. One day, while looking for our home insurance policy, I stumbled upon a folder containing monthly statements from Claire's personal investment account. This account was from an inheritance she received after her parents' tragic accident a few years ago. Respecting her privacy, I had never delved into her finances, but my curiosity got the better of me this time. The statements revealed that her inheritance had grown significantly, reaching over $400,000. However, one particular transaction caught my eye, via a $3,000 withdrawal from the money market account about 6 weeks ago. Intrigued, I decided to dig deeper. To my astonishment, I discovered that she had written a substantial check to a local jewelry store just a couple of days after losing her purse. She hadn't mentioned buying anything for me, and I couldn't recall her talking about acquiring jewelry for anyone else. My mind raced with possibilities, none of them comforting. I decided to call the jewelry store to inquire about the purchase. After providing my name and details about the transaction, I explained that we had encountered an issue with the purchase and were wondering if there was a store warranty in place. The store representative, a woman, confirmed the transaction and provided some details that left me reeling. Claire had purchased replacements for her wedding and engagement rings, claiming they had been stolen. She was visibly distressed during her visit, and the store had helped her find suitable replacements. This revelation hit me like a ton of bricks. Claire had never mentioned losing her rings. She had only talked about the stolen purse. Why would she carry her wedding and engagement rings in her purse if she had no intention of concealing her marital status? Dark thoughts began to creep into my mind, suggesting she might have contemplated engaging in an extramarital affair. The notion made my stomach churn. We had been married for 11 years and had 2 wonderful children. Our marriage had always seemed solid, or at least that's what I'd believed. I couldn't bear the thought of her having an affair, but the evidence was hard to ignore. Determined to uncover the truth, I decided to gather more information about her upcoming trip. Claire was set to leave for another business trip in a few days, and I needed to know what she typically did in the evenings when she was away from home. If she was involved with other men, I needed to find out. The night before her trip, Claire brought her briefcase home as usual to pack her things. This was my chance. After she went to bed, I carefully searched her briefcase. Hidden in one of the compartments, I found an open package of contraceptives with a few pieces missing. My heart sank. My worst fears were confirmed. I returned everything to its place, feeling a mix of anger, sadness, and betrayal. The next morning, as Claire prepared to leave, I struggled to maintain my composure. She kissed me goodbye, and I watched her drive away, a storm of emotions raging inside me. As soon as she was out of sight, I made a series of phone calls. I contacted a private investigator to follow her during her trip and document her activities. I also called a divorce attorney to discuss my options and start preparing for the worst. Over the next few days, the private investigator provided me with updates, confirming my suspicions. Claire was indeed seeing someone else via physics teacher she had met during one of her previous trips. They were seen together multiple times, and the evidence was undeniable. My heart shattered as I realized the extent of her betrayal. I felt a deep sense of loss, not just for my marriage, but for the life we had built together. The following weeks were a blur of legal consultations, painful conversations, and the slow, agonizing process of coming to terms with the end of our marriage. Claire returned home from her trip, unaware of the storm that awaited her. When I confronted her with the evidence, she broke down in tears, admitting to the affair. She tried to explain, to apologize, but the damage was done. Our marriage was over. I filed for divorce, seeking full custody of our children. I couldn't bear the thought of them being in the care of someone who had betrayed our family so profoundly. The legal battle was long and exhausting, but in the end, I was granted custody, and Claire's visits were limited. The months that followed were incredibly tough. I focused on my children, trying to provide them with a sense of stability and love. Slowly, we began to heal, finding a new normal in our fractured world. As for Claire, she moved away, starting a new life far from us. The physics teacher soon faded from her life, leaving her to face the consequences of her actions alone. We didn't keep in touch, and the memories of our time together became just that VJ memories. Through the pain and heartache, I discovered strength I never knew I had. My children became my anchor, and together we rebuilt our lives. The journey was far from easy, but we emerged stronger, ready to face whatever the future held. After the initial shock of discovering Claire's affair, I felt numb. Each day seemed to blend into the next, filled with the routine of caring for our children, managing the house, and working. I tried to focus on the tasks at hand, but the weight of the betrayal was always there, a constant gnawing presence in the back of my mind. The private investigator continued to provide updates, confirming more details about Clara V. DJ TM's relationship with the physics teacher. His name was David, and he taught at the local high school. They had met during one of Claire's business trips when she gave a guest lecture about marketing. It seemed innocent enough at first, but their connection had quickly escalated into something more. As I learned more about David, I felt a mixture of anger and sadness. He was just an ordinary guy, married with 2 kids, living a seemingly normal life. I couldn't understand what had drawn Claire to him, what had made her risk everything we had built together for this man. One evening after the kids were in bed, I sat down at the kitchen table and began to piece together the timeline of events. It was clear that the affair had been going on for months, possibly even longer. Claire DJ TM frequent business trips had provided the perfect cover for her secret life. The thought of her lying to me, of sneaking around behind my back, made my blood boil. Determined to gather more evidence, I decided to confront David. I needed to understand his side of the story, to hear from him why he had chosen to destroy not only my marriage, but also his own. I found his contact information online and sent him a message, asking to meet. To my surprise, David agreed to talk. We arranged to meet at a quiet CAF GC on the outskirts of town, away from prying eyes. As I walked in, I spotted him sitting in a corner booth, looking nervous. I approached him, my heart pounding in my chest. "David?" I asked, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. "Yes," he replied, looking up at me with a mix of guilt and apprehension. "You must be Tom." I nodded and sat down across from him. For a moment we just stared at each other, the silence heavy with tension. "I want to know why," I said finally. "Why did you and Claire do this?" David sighed and ran a hand through his hair. "ITVJTM's not that simple," he began. "Claire and we connected on a level that I hadn't VTMT experienced in years. It wasn't VTME just about the physical attraction. We shared something deeper, something real." "Real?" I repeated, my voice rising. "You call sneaking around behind your wife VJTM's back and destroying two families real? Do you have any idea what you've done?" "I know," David said, his voice breaking. "I know IVDJTMV hurt a lot of people, and IVDTMM sorry. But ITDJTM's not just my fault. Claire made her own choices too." I clenched my fists, struggling to keep my anger in check. "Do your wife and kids know?" David shook his head. "Not yet. IVDJTM been trying to figure out how to tell them. I don't want to hurt them, but I know it VGTM's inevitable." We sat in silence for a while, each lost in our own thoughts. Finally I stood up, unable to bear the sight of him any longer. "Do the right thing, David," I said quietly. "Tell your wife the truth. Face the consequences of your actions. I'm done with this conversation." As I walked out of the CAF GC, I felt a strange sense of relief. Confronting David hadn't given me the closure IVDTMD'd hoped for, but it had reinforced my resolve to move forward, to protect my children and rebuild our lives. The next few weeks were a blur of legal meetings and emotional upheaval. Claire and I continued to live under the same roof, but our interactions were strained and distant. The divorce process was grueling, each step a painful reminder of what we had lost. One night, as I was tucking the kids into bed, Jeremy looked up at me with wide eyes. "Dad, why is Mom always so sad?" he asked innocently. I took a deep breath, trying to find the right words. "Mom and Dad are going through a tough time right now, buddy. But no matter what happens, we both love you and Melissa very much. That will never change." Jeremy nodded, seemingly satisfied with my answer, and snuggled deeper into his blankets. I kissed him goodnight and went to check on Melissa. She was already asleep, her little face peaceful and serene. I went downstairs and found Claire sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the TV. She looked up as I entered the room, her eyes red from crying. "We need to talk," she said softly. I nodded and sat down across from her. For a moment, neither of us spoke, the weight of the unspoken words hanging heavily in the air. "I'm sorry," Claire began, her voice trembling. "I know IVDTM hurt you, and IVJTMV destroyed our family. I don't expect you to forgive me, but I need you to understand that I never meant for any of this to happen." "Then why did it?" I asked, my voice raw with emotion. "Why, Claire, we had a good life, a happy family. Why risk all of that for him?" Claire wiped away a tear and took a deep breath. "I felt lost," she admitted. "I felt like I was losing myself in the routine of our lives. David made me feel alive again, like I mattered. It was wrong, I know that now, but at the time it felt like the only thing keeping me from falling apart." Her words cut deep, but they also gave me a glimpse into the pain she had been feeling. It didn't excuse her actions, but it helped me understand, even if just a little. "I can't stand to do this anymore, Claire," I said finally. "I can be Tim, live with the lies and the betrayal. We need to move on for the sake of our kids." Claire nodded, tears streaming down her face. "I understand," she whispered. "IVDJTM, I'll move out tomorrow." The next day, Claire packed her things and left. Watching her drive away, I felt a mix of relief and sadness. Our marriage was over, but it was the beginning of a new chapter for me and the kids. Over the next few months, we settled into a new routine. It was NVDJTMT easy, but slowly we began to find our way. I focused on my work and spent as much time as possible with Jeremy and Melissa, making sure they knew they were loved and supported. Claire and I remained civil for the sake of the kids, but our interactions were brief and businesslike. She visited the children regularly, and I made sure to keep the lines of communication open, even if it was painful. As time passed, the wounds began to heal. I started to rebuild my life, piece by piece, finding strength in the love and support of my children. The pain of Claire's betrayal would always be a part of me, but I refused to let it define my future. With Claire gone, the house felt different. The emptiness was palpable, but it also brought a strange sense of peace. I focused on creating a stable environment for Jeremy and Melissa, ensuring that they felt secure and loved. Every day was a step towards healing, even if the progress was slow and painful. Work became my refuge. Throwing myself into my projects helped me keep my mind off the turmoil of my personal life. The kids were my primary motivation, and I wanted to be the best father I could be for them. Despite the challenges, we found moments of joy and laughter, slowly rebuilding our lives. One weekend, I decided to take the kids to the zoo. It had been a while since we had done something fun together, and I wanted to create happy memories to replace the painful ones. As we wandered through the exhibits, watching the animals and enjoying the sunshine, I felt a sense of normalcy returning. "Dad, look at the lions!" Jeremy shouted excitedly, pointing to the majestic creatures lounging in their enclosure. I smiled and lifted him up so he could get a better view. "Aren't they amazing?" I said, watching his eyes light up with wonder. Melissa tugged at my hand, pulling me towards the giraffes. "Can we feed them, Daddy?" she asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. "Of course, sweetheart," I replied, following her to the feeding area. As we fed the giraffes and laughed together, I realized that these moments of connection were what mattered most. Despite the pain and heartache, we still had each other. As the weeks turned into months, I began to find a new rhythm. The kids adapted to the changes with remarkable resilience, and I was determined to provide them with as much stability as possible. Claire continued to visit regularly, and we managed to co-parent effectively, despite the lingering tension between us. One evening, after the kids were in bed, I sat down with a cup of tea and reflected on how far we had come. The journey had been arduous, but I was proud of the progress we had made. I knew there were still challenges ahead, but I felt stronger and more capable of facing them. It was during one of these quiet moments that I received an unexpected message. It was from an old friend, Sarah, whom I hadn't seen in years. We had lost touch after college, but she had heard about my situation through mutual friends and wanted to reach out. "Hey, Tom, it's been a while. I heard about what you're going through, and I just wanted to check in and see how you're doing. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." Her message brought a smile to my face. Sarah had always been a good friend, and hearing from her was like a ray of sunshine on a cloudy day. I responded, and soon we were chatting like no time had passed. Our conversations became a regular part of my evenings, and I found solace in reconnecting with someone who knew me so well. Sarah's empathy and understanding were exactly what I needed, and our friendship provided a much-needed distraction from the pain. One weekend, we decided to meet up for coffee. I was nervous about seeing her after so many years, but as soon as I walked into the CAF GC and saw her smiling face, the nerves melted away. "Tom, it's so good to see you," she said, hugging me warmly. "You too, Sarah. It's been too long," I replied, feeling a sense of comfort in her presence. We spent hours catching up, sharing stories and laughing about old memories. It felt like a piece of my old life had been restored, and I was grateful for her friendship. As the months passed, Sarah and I grew closer. Our friendship deepened, and I found myself looking forward to our conversations and meetups. She was a constant source of support, and her positivity helped me see the light at the end of the tunnel. One evening, as we sat on my porch watching the kids play in the yard, Sarah turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Tom, I know this might be a bit forward, but have you ever considered dating again?" Her question caught me off guard. Dating was the last thing on my mind, but as I looked at her, I realized that I had started to develop feelings for her. The thought of moving on and opening my heart again was both terrifying and exhilarating. "I don't know, Sarah," I admitted. "It's been a tough year, and I'm not sure if I'm ready." She nodded understandingly. "I get it. Take your time. Just know that when you are ready, there's someone here who cares about you." Her words stayed with me, and over the next few weeks, I found myself contemplating the idea of starting a new chapter. Sarah had become an important part of my life, and the thought of exploring something more with her filled me with a sense of hope. One evening, as we were having dinner together, I decided to take a leap of faith. "Sarah, Tom, you've been thinking a lot about what you said. I think I might be ready to try dating again, and I can't think of anyone I'd rather do that with than you." Her eyes lit up with a mixture of surprise and happiness. "Tom, I'd love that," she said, reaching across the table to take my hand. Our relationship blossomed from that moment. We took things slowly, mindful of the kids and the complexities of blending our lives. Sarah was patient and understanding, and her presence brought a sense of joy and stability that I hadn't VDJ felt in a long time. The kids adored her, and she quickly became a cherished part of our family. Together, we navigated the challenges and celebrated the victories, building a new life filled with love and laughter. As I reflected on the journey we had taken, I realized that the pain of the past had given way to a future full of promise. Claire's betrayal had been a devastating blow, but it had also led me to rediscover my own strength and to find a love that was truly worth fighting for. As Sarah and I embarked on our new relationship, we both understood the importance of taking things one step at a time. Our priority was ensuring that Jeremy and Melissa adjusted to the changes in their lives smoothly and happily. Sarah's natural warmth and kindness made this transition easier for everyone involved. We started incorporating Sarah into our daily routines gradually. She would join us for family dinners, help with homework, and participate in weekend outings. The kids took to her almost immediately, and their laughter and joy were infectious. Slowly, our lives began to feel whole again, like pieces of a puzzle finally fitting together. One Saturday afternoon, we decided to have a picnic at the local park. The weather was perfect, with a gentle breeze and the sun casting a warm glow over everything. We packed a basket with sandwiches, fruit, and snacks and set off for a day of fun and relaxation. As we spread out the blanket and settled down, Jeremy and Melissa ran off to play on the swings. I watched them, feeling a sense of contentment wash over me. Sarah sat beside me, her hand resting gently on mine. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" she said, her eyes twinkling with happiness. "It really is," I replied, squeezing her hand. "I can't remember the last time I felt this at peace." Sarah smiled and leaned in closer. "Tom, I want you to know how much you and the kids mean to me. I'm so grateful to be a part of your lives." I looked at her, feeling a swell of emotion. "And we've DJTM are grateful to have you, Sarah. You've brought so much joy and love into our home. I can't imagine our lives without you." As the day wore on, we played games, ate delicious food, and enjoyed each other's company. It was a simple day, but it was filled with love and laughter, and that made it extraordinary. Over time, Sarah and I grew even closer. Our relationship deepened, and we began to talk about the future. We discussed our hopes and dreams, our plans for the kids, and what we wanted our life together to look like. These conversations were filled with excitement and anticipation, and they brought us even closer together. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, Sarah turned to me with a serious expression. "Tom, there's something I've been thinking about. I love being a part of your lives, and I want to take the next step with you, but I also want to make sure we're doing what's best for Jeremy and Melissa." I nodded, understanding her concern. We've been thinking about that too. We've been through so much already. I want to make sure we're giving them the stability and love they need. Sarah smiled and took my hand. "I think we're on the right track. We've built a strong foundation and the kids are thriving. I believe we're ready for the next step." Her words filled me with a sense of certainty and resolve. "I agree. I think it's time to make this official." A few weeks later, I planned a special evening. After a fun day at the park, I arranged for a sitter to watch the kids and took Sarah to our favorite restaurant. We enjoyed a delicious meal, reminiscing about our journey and looking forward to the future. After dinner, we took a walk by the lake. The moonlight reflected off the water, casting a magical glow over everything. I stopped at a quiet spot, took Sarah's hands in mine, and looked into her eyes. Sarah, you came into my life when I needed you the most. You've brought so much love, joy, and stability to me and the kids. I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me? Sarah's eyes filled with tears of happiness as she nodded. Yes, Tom, I will. I love you and I love the kids. I can't wait to spend the rest of my life with all of you. As I slipped the ring onto her finger, I felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude and hope. We hugged, kissed, and then walked back to the car, holding hands and dreaming about our future together. We shared the news with Jeremy and Melissa the next day. Their faces lit up with excitement, and they hugged Sarah and me, expressing their happiness and approval. It was a moment of pure joy and love, and I knew we were on the right path. The next few months were a whirlwind of wedding preparations and planning our future. We decided to have a small, intimate ceremony with close friends and family. The kids were thrilled to be a part of the wedding, and their excitement was contagious. The day of the wedding was perfect. The sun was shining, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. We chose a beautiful garden venue, surrounded by flowers and greenery. As I stood at the altar, watching Sarah walk down the aisle, I felt an overwhelming sense of love and gratitude. When Sarah reached me, we exchanged vows, promising to love, cherish, and support each other through all of life's challenges. The kids stood by our sides, beaming with happiness. As we exchanged rings and sealed our vows with a kiss, I knew we were embarking on a new chapter filled with love and hope. Our wedding was a celebration of our love and the beginning of a new family. We danced, laughed, and enjoyed the company of our loved ones. It was a day I would cherish forever, a reminder of the strength and resilience that had brought us to this moment. As we settled into our new life together, I felt a sense of peace and contentment. The journey had been difficult, but it had led us to a place of love and happiness. Sarah, Jeremy, Melissa, and I were a family, and together we were ready to face whatever the future held. We continued to build our lives, creating new memories and traditions. The kids thrived in the loving environment we had created, and their laughter filled our home. Sarah and I supported each other through the ups and downs, always finding strength in our love. Looking back, I realized that the pain and betrayal of the past had led me to a place of profound joy and fulfillment. I had found love again, and together we had built a new future filled with hope and promise. As I held Sarah's hand and looked at our children, I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together as a family. Life with Sarah, Jeremy, and Melissa felt like a dream. Our home was filled with love and laughter, and every day was a new adventure. But as with any journey, we encountered new challenges along the way. Balancing our blended family required effort, patience, and understanding, but we were committed to making it work. One of the first challenges we faced was co-parenting with Claire. Despite our differences, Claire remained a part of Jeremy and Melissa's lives. She visited regularly, and we had to find a way to communicate effectively for the sake of the kids. This was easier said than done, but over time we established a routine that worked for everyone. One Friday evening, as we prepared for Claire to pick up the kids for the weekend, I noticed Jeremy looking a bit down. "Hey, buddy," I said, kneeling beside him. "What's on your mind?" He shrugged, avoiding eye contact. "I don't know. I just feel weird about going to Mom's." I placed a hand on his shoulder. "It's okay to feel that way. Do you want to talk about it?" Jeremy hesitated, then nodded. "It's just, I like it here. I like being with you and Sarah. It feels like home." His words touched my heart, and I pulled him into a hug. "This is your home, Jeremy, and it's okay to miss it when you're at Mom's. But remember, she loves you very much too." He nodded, holding on tightly. "I know. I just wish things could be different." "We all do, buddy. But we'll make the best of it, okay? And before you know it, you'll be back here with us." Jeremy smiled, reassured, and we continued preparing for the weekend. When Claire arrived, the kids hugged us goodbye and left with her. As I watched them drive away, I felt a pang of sadness but also a sense of hope. We were navigating this new reality together, And that made all the difference. Sarah and I used the weekends without the kids to strengthen our bond. We went on dates, explored new hobbies, and simply enjoyed each other's company. These moments were precious, a reminder of the love that had brought us together. One Saturday morning, Sarah and I decided to go hiking. We drove to a nearby trail, enjoying the fresh air and the beauty of nature. As we walked, we talked about our dreams for the future, our hopes for the kids, and the challenges we had overcome. "Do you ever think about expanding our family?" Sarah asked, her eyes twinkling with curiosity. I smiled, considering her question. "I do. I think it would be wonderful to have more children, to share this love and create even more beautiful memories." Sarah's smile widened. "I've been thinking about it too. I know it won't be easy, but I think we're ready for it." We continued our hike, discussing the possibilities and dreaming about what the future might hold. The idea of expanding our family filled us with excitement and anticipation. Back home, we sat down with Jeremy and Melissa to talk about our plans. We wanted them to be a part of the decision, to understand how much their input mattered. "How would you guys feel about having a little brother or sister?" Sarah asked, her voice gentle. Jeremy and Melissa exchanged excited glances. "Really?" Melissa exclaimed. "We'd love that." Jeremy nodded enthusiastically. "Yeah, it would be awesome." Their excitement was contagious, and we spent the rest of the evening talking about what it would be like to have a new baby in the house. The kids shared their ideas and hopes, and we listened, grateful for their openness and support. As we moved forward with our plans, we faced new challenges. The process of expanding our family was filled with ups and downs, moments of joy and moments of doubt. But through it all, we remained united, supporting each other, and keeping our focus on the love that bound us together. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, Sarah and I sat on the porch, reflecting on our journey. "Do you ever think about how far we've come?" Sarah asked, her voice soft. "Every day," I replied, taking her hand in mine. "I think about how lucky I am to have found you, to have built this life with you." She smiled, her eyes shining with love. "We're in this together, Tom. No matter what challenges we face, we'll get through them." I nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. Absolutely. Together we can face anything. The months passed, and we continued to build our life, creating a home filled with love, laughter, and new beginnings. The kids thrived, and our bond as a family grew stronger with each passing day. One Saturday morning, we received exciting news. Sarah was pregnant. The joy and excitement we felt were indescribable. We shared the news with Jeremy and Melissa, who were thrilled at the prospect of becoming older siblings. The pregnancy brought its own set of challenges, but we faced them with the same determination and love that had carried us through everything else. We attended doctor appointments, prepared the nursery, and eagerly awaited the arrival of our new family member. As Sarah's due date approached, we made sure everything was ready. The house was filled with a sense of anticipation and excitement. One evening, as we were having dinner, Sarah suddenly gasped, clutching her belly. "I think it's time," she said, her voice a mix of excitement and nervousness. We sprang into action, gathering our things and heading to the hospital. The drive felt like a blur, a mix of adrenaline and anticipation. When we arrived, Sarah was taken to the delivery room, and I stayed by her side, holding her hand and offering words of encouragement. The hours seemed to stretch on forever, but finally the moment arrived. Our baby was born, a beautiful, healthy girl. Tears of joy filled our eyes as we held her for the first time, overwhelmed by the love and wonder of this new life. We named her Lily, a symbol of purity and hope. Jeremy and Melissa were overjoyed to meet their baby sister, and they doted on her, eager to help and be a part of her life. Our family was complete, and the love we shared seemed to grow with each passing day. We faced challenges, but we faced them together, drawing strength from our bond and our commitment to each other. As I looked at Sarah and our children, I knew that we had built something beautiful. Our journey had been filled with pain and heartache, but it had also led us to a place of profound joy and fulfillment. We had created a family built on love, resilience, and hope, and together we were ready to face whatever the future held. Life with Lily brought a new kind of joy and fulfillment to our home. The laughter of a baby, the excitement of Jeremy and Melissa as they helped care for their little sister, and the love that Sarah and I shared created a harmony that I cherish deeply. Each day was a blessing, and I felt incredibly grateful for the family we had built. But life, with its unpredictable nature, had more in store for us. Just as we settled into our new rhythm, we faced unexpected challenges that tested our resilience and love. One sunny afternoon, I received a call from Jeremy's school. The principal's voice was calm but serious. "Mr. Johnson, we need you to come to the school. Jeremy was involved in an incident with another student." My heart raced as I quickly arranged for a neighbor to watch Melissa and Lily. When I arrived at the school, I found Jeremy sitting in the principal's office, looking distressed. "Jeremy, what happened?" I asked gently, sitting beside him. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with worry. "Dad, it wasn't my fault. The other kid was making fun of Mom and Sarah. He said things about them that weren't true." The principal nodded. "Jeremy defended his family, Mr. Johnson. While we don't condone fighting, we understand the circumstances." I sighed, feeling a mix of pride and concern. "Jeremy, I'm proud of you for standing up for your family, but violence isn't the answer. Let's talk about better ways to handle situations like this." Jeremy nodded, his expression softening. "I'm sorry, Dad. I just got so mad." "We'll work on it together," I assured him, feeling a surge of love for my son. We talked with the principal about a plan to address the bullying and left the school, determined to support Jeremy through this challenge. As we drove home, I thought about how our family dynamics might be affecting the kids. Blended families come with their own set of challenges, and I realized we needed to be even more proactive in ensuring the kids felt secure and supported. That evening, Sarah and I sat down with Jeremy and Melissa to discuss what had happened. We wanted them to know they could always come to us with their problems and that we were a team. "Guys, we know things haven't been easy," Sarah began, her voice gentle. "But we're here for you no matter what. We're a family, and we face things together." Melissa nodded, her eyes wide. "I love our family. I just wish people at school understood." "We'll help them understand," I said, wrapping an arm around her. "And remember, you can always talk to us about anything. We love you both very much." The kids seemed reassured, and we spent the rest of the evening playing games and enjoying each other's company. It was a reminder of the strength of our bond and the importance of open communication, but the challenges didn't stop there. A few weeks later, Sarah received an unexpected call from her mother. Her father had been diagnosed with a serious illness, and they needed support. Sarah's parents lived several states away, and she felt torn between her commitment to our family and her desire to be there for her parents. "I don't know what to do, Tom," she admitted one evening, tears in her eyes. "I want to help my parents, but I don't want to leave you and the kids." I took her hands in mine, my heart aching for her. "We'll figure it out together, Sarah. Family is important, and we'll support you in whatever you need to do." We discussed our options and decided that Sarah would spend a few weeks with her parents, helping them through the initial stages of treatment. It wasn't an easy decision, but we knew it was the right one. During Sarah's absence, I juggled work, childcare, and household responsibilities. It was challenging, but it also brought us closer as a family. The kids stepped up, helping out in ways that surprised and impressed me. Jeremy took on more responsibility with his younger sisters, and Melissa showed a maturity beyond her years. One evening, after putting the kids to bed, I sat on the porch feeling the weight of the past few weeks. I missed Sarah terribly, but I also felt a deep sense of pride in how we were handling everything. As I sipped my tea, my phone buzzed with a message from Sarah. "I miss you all so much. Dad's treatment is going well, and the doctors are hopeful. I'll be home soon. Give the kids a big hug from me." I smiled, feeling a surge of relief. "We miss you too, Sarah. Take all the time you need. We're here for you." Sarah's return brought a sense of relief and joy to our home. She was exhausted but grateful for the time she had spent with her parents. we settled back into our routine, cherishing the moments we had together even more. As the months passed, we faced other challenges, but we tackled them with the same resilience and love that had carried us through before. We learned that life would always throw unexpected twists our way, but as long as we faced them together, we could handle anything. One evening, after the kids were asleep, Sarah and I sat on the porch, reflecting on everything we had been through. "Life has been crazy, hasn't it?" Sarah said, leaning against me. I nodded, wrapping my arm around her. "It has, but we've made it through, together." She smiled, looking up at me. "I couldn't have done it without you, Tom. You're my rock." "And you're mine," I replied, kissing her forehead. "We make a great team." As we sat there watching the stars, I felt a profound sense of gratitude for the journey we had taken. It hadn't been easy, but it had brought us closer and made us stronger. Our family was built on a foundation of love, trust, and resilience, and I knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, we would face them together. Life continued to be a blend of joy and challenges, but through it all, our family remained strong and united. The kids thrived, and our bond with each other grew deeper with each passing day. As we moved forward, we focused on creating a future filled with love, hope, and new possibilities. One summer, we decided to take a family vacation to the mountains. It was our first big trip together as a blended family, and we were all excited about the adventure. We rented a cozy cabin near a lake, surrounded by lush forests and breathtaking views. The drive up was filled with laughter and music, the kids singing along to their favorite songs, and Sarah and I sharing knowing smiles. When we arrived at the cabin, we were in awe of the beauty around us. The air was crisp and clean, and the scenery was like something out of a postcard. "This place is amazing," Jeremy exclaimed, running to the edge of the lake. Melissa followed, her eyes wide with wonder. "Can we go swimming, Dad? Please?" "Of course," I replied, smiling at their excitement. "Let's unpack first, and then we'll hit the water." The days were filled with outdoor activities. We hiked through the forest, discovering hidden trails and waterfalls. We swam in the lake, splashing and playing, the kids' laughter echoing across the water. We fished, cooked over an open fire, and told stories under the stars. One evening, as the sun set over the mountains, we gathered around the campfire, roasting marshmallows and making s'mores. Jeremy and Melissa snuggled up with Sarah and me, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames. "Can we tell ghost stories?" Melissa asked, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Sure," I said, grinning. "But nothing too scary, okay?" We took turns telling stories, each one more imaginative than the last. The kids giggled and squealed, and I felt a warmth in my heart that had been absent for so long. This was what family was all about, VJ, creating memories, sharing laughter, and being together. As the fire died down, Sarah leaned her head on my shoulder. "This has been the best vacation," she whispered. I kissed her forehead. "It really has. I'm so grateful for these moments." The trip brought us even closer, reinforcing the bond we shared. It was a reminder that no matter what challenges we faced, we had each other, and that was enough. Back home, life returned to its usual rhythm, but the memories of our mountain adventures stayed with us. We found joy in the everyday moments, VDJ family dinners, movie nights, and weekend outings. Each day was a new opportunity to love and support one another. As the years passed, our family continued to grow and evolve. Jeremy and Melissa blossomed into incredible young adults, each finding their own path and passions. Lily grew up surrounded by love, her laughter a constant reminder of the joy she brought into our lives. Sarah and I remained committed to each other and our family. We faced the challenges of life head-on, always finding strength in our love and unity. We supported each other through career changes, health scares, and the ups and downs of parenting. Our love story was not without its hurdles, but it was filled with resilience, trust, and unwavering commitment. One sunny afternoon, we celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary with a garden party at home. Friends and family gathered to mark the occasion, their presence a testament to the love and support that had carried us through the years. As I stood beside Sarah, watching our children play and our friends mingle, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. Life had brought us unexpected twists and turns, but it had also brought us unimaginable joy and fulfillment. Raising my glass, I called for everyone's attention. "I'd like to make a toast," I said, my voice filled with emotion. "To Sarah, my rock and my love, to Jeremy, Melissa, and Lily, who make every day an adventure, and to all of you, our friends and family, who have supported us through thick and thin. Here's to love, resilience, and the future we're building together." Cheers echoed around the garden, and I felt Sarah's hand slip into mine. "I love you, Tom," she whispered, her eyes shining with tears. "I love you too, Sarah," I replied, kissing her softly. "Here's to many more years of happiness and love." As the sun set, casting a golden glow over the garden, I looked around at the faces of those I loved most. Our journey had been filled with highs and lows, but it had led us to a place of deep connection and unwavering love. Together we had built a life filled with laughter, joy, and endless possibilities. In that moment, surrounded by family and friends, I knew that whatever the future held, we would face it together. Our love had been tested and had emerged stronger, a beacon of hope and resilience. We were a family, bound by love and united by the journey we had taken, and for that I was eternally grateful.